presentation. I will invite Himangsu Kalita. Are you present?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay, he will present gender, power, and conservation dynamics in Assam's human-wildlife interaction. Please carry on.
Is my screen visible, sir?
Yes, your screen is visible. Go for the slideshow. Yes, it is visible.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Himangsu Kalita. I'm a doctoral researcher at the National Institute of Advanced Studies in Bangalore and with Manipal Academy of Higher Education. Today I will speak about the intersection of gender, power, and conservation in Assam's human-wildlife interfaces, drawing from my ongoing fieldwork in the fringe villages of Manas National Park. Before I begin, I want to say that this is a very qualitative study, drawing heavily from the social sciences, and unlike most of the sessions I have attended so far. And as we all know, human wildlife interactions are not just ecological challenges, but deeply gendered and political struggles. So, my research asked how do gender, caste, and power shape conservation outcomes, and crucially, how can we reimagine coexistence to center equity. Before going into the details, a little bit of introduction. As we all know, human wildlife interactions, or as we call it, conflict, are increasing globally, especially in areas where human settlements border wildlife habitats. These interactions aren't simply about conflict or coexistence, they lie on a spectrum ranging from reverence and acceptance to retaliation and killing. In Assam and many other forested areas where humans and wildlife have coexisted for centuries, this interface is expanding and becoming more complex due to ecological stress, developmental pressures, and changing social dynamics. And these interfaces intersect with various social, economic, and ecological factors. Um, Context and motivation behind this study, escalating wildlife conflict. These are rising everywhere. Then environmental stress, forest agricultural mosaics are under increasing pressure and stress. And we often overlook the social context of those interactions in the conflict and conservation narratives. We often focus on tangible losses like crop damage or fatalities of people. Often the hidden costs, those borne by women, remain invisible. For instance, fear, anxiety, disrupted livelihoods, and the labor burdens rarely enter the official metrics or mitigation plans. And conservation policies often treat communities as homogeneous, ignoring how gender, class, and caste stratify all these vulnerabilities. So the key questions I ask in my research are how gendered power dynamics influence experiences of conflict and conservation engagement. What roles do women play in conservation, and what are those roles recognized? How do existing policies account for or fail to address the intersectional vulnerabilities in human wildlife interaction management? This is the research framework. Those who are not familiar with social sciences, I'll just briefly explain about this. One is feminist political ecology, which examines how environmental issues are shaped by power relations rooted in gender, caste, class, and ethnicity. And there is intersectionality. It helps to understand how multiple identities of one individual shape access to resources and decision-making powers, and hence shape their social identity in the area. And these frameworks allow for a deeper and more nuanced understanding rather than the traditional analysis of conflict versus coexistence. For example, Boro tribal women, the tribe I'm working on, gathering firewood experiences wildlife risk differently than an upper caste man in the same village. So, feminist political ecology reveals how power structures like the forest department hierarchies or patriarchal norm in our societies shape who bears the cost of conservation and who reaps the benefits of it. And for methodology, my work is ongoing. My field location is in fringe villages of Manas National Park. Two villages, mainly Kahitema and Barangabari. Here you can see the maps of the area. And my research methods are feminist ethnography, semi-structured interviews, and policy and archival analysis. And the participants are diverse ethnic groups, including Boros and Adivasis. I'm mainly focusing on the narratives of women. Uh, uh, so these communities regularly interact with elephants, rhinos, and even Asiatic black bears. And for this research, I immerse into their daily lives, observing the community and interviewing my participants. So these are few insights from field studies, how gendered impacts are visible. One is emerging female-headed households. So often because of men migrating to work, the women are left to manage homes, their fields, and to face the conflict risks alone in their homes with their families and children. As two women shared here, they carry the weight of the forest and the field, and they stay awake at the night, fearing the elephants alone. But these aren't some isolated stories. They reflect a larger, systemic burden placed on women. So I'll read through the quotes. So one woman says, who is a homemaker from the Boro tribal community, she says, "With my husband in Guwahati, it's just me, the children, and the elephants now. I take care of the home, but every rustle after dark feels like a warning. I never thought I'd have to stand between my home and the wild alone." Uh, The second insight is the token participation of women in conservation. How non-state and the state actors are relying more on men for the decision making, while women are only called for participation in these events. Uh, Despite the intimate knowledge of the landscape, women are often excluded from the decision making. So, as one woman told me, we are trusted to sustain livelihoods, but not to shape the boundaries that protect us. This quote reflects how the NGOs and forest departments still default to men when planning the interventions, reinforcing patriarchal power structures even in the participatory conservation. So it shows how limited meaningful inclusion of women and marginalized groups are happening in the conservation policies. The third insight is less inclusive offices. There are underrepresentation of women in administrative roles in the forest department offices. Uh, so one female clerk who was working in the office noted how village women hesitate to approach the male-dominated offices, or increasing the women's representation in administration could create a more approachable or inclusive conservation system that listens to and supports women's need more effectively. For example, while the woman has to go to the office for claiming compensation, they often feel neglected and under pressure because all the authorities are dominated by men, and hence they have to take some men with them for going to those offices. So, since the research is ongoing, these are like preliminary findings. I have highlighted or classified all the findings into seven different themes, which are not exhaustive. New themes are emerging, and I also argue that they are not independent. All the themes, they are interconnected mesh of networks. So, for example, I'll explain those themes one by one. For example, there's gender resource use and labor division. Like resource use and labor in rural communities are structured along the gender lines. So these are supported by existing literature that exists in this area or in this domain. Women and men engage differently with land, water, and forest, reflecting unequal divisions of labor and responsibilities. Asymmetries in survival and collective action. Women often bear the brunt of survival strategies, domestic responsibilities, and collective action for resource management. These asymmetry affects how they respond to environmental crisis, including human-wildlife conflict. And gendered perception of wildlife. The way women and men perceive about wildlife differs due to their roles in spatial engagements. For instance, women gathering fuel wood or water or going to the field may encounter wildlife more frequently, shaping unique forms of knowledge and fear among the women. Then there is disproportionate cost and benefits of coexistence with wildlife. How women and men face disproportionate costs such as injury or fatality, which is more in case of men when living near wildlife, but women faces more of the secondary or hidden costs. Like while benefits, for example, compensation may go to men because the land is in the name of men. So even if people are from the joint family, the men can only claim for compensation in the area. These also reflect gendered access to compensation schemes and participation in conflict mitigation. Then there are public and private hierarchies, how gendered hierarchies persist not only in public places, for example, local conservation committees where women are less valued, but also in private realms. However, these binaries often interact and reshape with one another in conflict and cooperation. Then there are gendered barriers in decision making. While women are participants in conservation processes, they are hardly involved in decision making. Men are often involved in decision making, while women's contributions remain undervalued or invisible. Then there is a differential impact of policies and action. So in India, basically the policies are all one size fits all and basically gender blind for wildlife or for any other causes. So while synthesizing the key areas, I find that these issues are interconnected issues. Gendered power, resource access, and conservation outcomes, they are not like separate topics. They're part of a web. Major themes are interwoven and influence each other. And addressing just one aspect like compensation or participation won't solve any broader challenges unless we recognize these overlapping and reinforcing dynamics. And the way forward and what should we emphasize on while working with the communities or while looking at the policies for wildlife or conservation management. So we have to look beyond homogeneity. Like we must stop treating women as a monolith or as a single group, because every experience is different. Every tribe, how they react to this wildlife, or how they are impacted by the policies. This is very different. So then. Place-based realities should be highlighted. Experiences are shaped by local environments, cultures, and social structures. Then intersectional approach, factors like caste, class, ethnicity, and geography influence roles and challenges of people. And conservation should be inclusive and equitable. Like we have to tailor the interventions to specific community needs to ensure more effective outcomes. And we have to integrate gender and support leadership of women and decentralize the decisions. So the final takeaway from this is we need to integrate gender in conflict mitigation, support local women's leadership, and decentralize those decisions to give voice to those closest to the ground who are living in the realities of human wildlife conflict. And this is not about fairness; it's essential for effective and sustainable conservation. So conservation, as we all imagine, cannot be gender neutral. When we ignore the intersectionality of people living in the areas, we fail both the people and the wildlife. These are the references I went through. Thank you so much. I'm very grateful to the communities who shared their stories with me, and to my supervisor Alina Sebastian, and to Professor Anindya Sinha, and to everyone here present for your time and attention. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Any question? There is a compliment from Priyankar Chakraborty. You can see it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Priyanka. I hope there's no more questions then.
Okay. Thank you so much, Himangsu.